Right now, we're diving into another segment of basketball. This time, it's NBA rapid fire. Let's go to the Magic and the Timberwolves. The Magic favored in this one, -2. Total is 235. The Magic are 27-35 on the year, 28-32-2 against the number. The Timberwolves are 19-42. Yes, not one of the better teams in the NBA, but 22-37-2 against the number. A little better, but not a great cover team either. Craig, who do we like in this one?
Yeah, not a great cover team. 7-22-1 against the spread at home. I mean, I think, yeah. I mean, and a lot of these are as a big underdog or as an underdog. So it's like they don't even need to win. They just need to cover. I mean, terrible. I just think Orlando's the play here. I've faded this Minnesota team at home so many times this year to such good success. It's hard to get off of it. And I think I'm not going to get off of that winning train tonight. Let's take the Orlando. Much more talented, much more consistent, 17-13-1 against the spread at home. So let's take Orlando Magic -2. I'm sorry, that was on the road, that against spread record. But I think you lay the 2 on the road with Orlando Magic tonight.
Tony T, you fading or you agree with Craig?
Oh, you know where I'm going here? I'm going over the total in this one. I'm going to continue to ride this Orlando over train here. They played to over at 9 straight as they've seen their offensive production increase in that span. Everyone thinks Orlando isn't a very good offensive team. They haven't been for most of the season, but lately they've been kicking up the scoring a little bit more, playing a little bit fast tempo. You look at their past 5 games, 48% shooting, 37% from 3. But again, what happens when you play fast and you're not a very good team? Well, you're not going to play defense. That's what's happening in past 5 games in that span. 50% shooting, they're allowing 43% from beyond the arc. The note here with Minnesota, no Karl Anthony Towns in the middle. There's no rim defender for Minnesota. We're seeing that the Timberwolves playing horribly defensively, allowing 50% shooting over their past 5 games. And of course, going to continue this over train here with Orlando over 234.5 with their dancing partner, Minnesota.
Well, in the last time they played, the score was 136-125, which I can almost guarantee that was an over.
Don't forget, for the month of March, we have hooked you up with some extra value. Use promo code MARCH all through the madness and save yourself 15% at checkout at picksandparlays.net.
Let's move on to the Heat and the Pelicans. The Pelicans are favored in this one, -1.5 at home. Total is 235.5. Heat, one of those teams that have been pretty good this year, 40-22 on the year, 31-29-2 against the number. Pelicans 26-36, 31-29-2 against the spread. I know the Zion story is what everybody wants to talk about with the Pelicans, but Lonzo Ball's been really good lately. Back-to-back games with 7 3-pointers. Meanwhile, the Heat have a pretty good three-point shooter of their own in Duncan Robinson, who just made 9 threes in the last game. So might see some hot shooting in this one. Craig, where are we leaning?
Anytime I see a New Orleans game in the 230s instead of 240s, I'm leaning to the over. And I also think the side at New Orleans -1, they just -1.5. I just think New Orleans, since Zion came back, has just played so motivated and so inspired. And, I think that's what happens with these great young players is that everybody else picks their game up. Like you said, Ball is playing out of his mind right now because he has no pressure. All he has to do is throw it up to Zion. Good things usually happen when you get the ball to Zion, especially out in the open or up by the rim. I think New Orleans -1.5. I think the stronger play is the over 235.5 because New Orleans, I think, goes for 130 here by themselves and pushes us way over the total.
Well, and Lonzo Ball's also corrected his shot, so I think that's helped a lot as well. Tony T, who do we like, or what's the play?
Yeah, I like New Orleans here as well, -1.5. The one thing to note here, it's really tough to back Miami on the road. When you go back and look at their road performances, they've lost 5 of their past 6 road games. Their only win coming to Golden State. Now, there is a drop-off for the Heat in their shooting and defending away from home. One thing to note here about the Pelicans, their 3rd best three-point shooting team in the NBA at 37%. And Miami, they have failed to cover 6 of 7 on the road against teams with losing records at home. So they play down to the competition when they're on the road here. So I'll go ahead and take New Orleans in this one, -1.5. New Orleans has to start getting it together here. We got Damian Lillard's now healthy for Portland, so they're trying to get in that playoff spot for the 8th seed. It's important for New Orleans because you want Zion Williamson to have some sort of playoff experience when you make your push next season. So I think New Orleans, they got to push hard to close it out here. I'll take them in this spot against Miami, a team that I just can't trust right now on the road.
All right, next up we've got the Hawks and the Wizards. The Wizards favored at home in this one -3. Total is 245.5, and for good reason. Both these teams like to score a lot of points and not play a lick of defense. Trae Young for the Hawks scoring a ton, and the Wizards score a lot too. Craig, are you taking this total or you like a side?
Well, I do like the over total, even at 245.5. I thought it should probably be 249 or 250, and I still would probably lean to the over. But I think you have to take Washington -3. Since Bradley Beal didn't make the All-Star team, he really has turned it up an extra notch. He was already playing well this season, but since then he's been on fire, back-to-back 50-point games. I think Trae Young might have to get 50 tonight himself to keep up with this. I don't think that happens, but I like Washington and Bradley Beal. They're much more consistent, especially at home against the Atlanta team that's not good against the spread on the road, just 10-21 against the spread on the road. So let's take the Washington Wizards -3. If you want to take the over as well, I wouldn't talk you off of it.
All right, Tony T, what's the play for you?
Yeah, I'm going to be butting heads with Craig here. I'm going to take the Hawks at +3. I think it's a kind of a tough spot for the Wizards. They played their first home game after a 4-game road trip out west, only 1 day of rest. That really is not a good spot for teams with coming off a long road trip, especially those east to west type of trips. The Hawks have won and covered 4 of their past 6. And one thing to note here, the Hawks are rested. They have 3 days off. With 3 days off, the Hawks have covered 5 of 6. Believe it or not, they've allowed 11 fewer points in overall average. So somehow, some way, the only way the Hawks play defense is when you give them 3 days off. This will be the 3rd game in 4 nights for Washington. Remember, they closed out that West Coast road trip in a back-to-back, losing by 5 to Sacramento, 21 at Portland, and they allowed a combined 54% shooting. I just think the spot's bad for Washington. I'll take the Hawks here, the rest of the team at +3.
All right, next up, we've got the Thunder at the Knicks. Thunder favor in this one -7. Total is 219. The Thunder on the year have been one of those teams, a really great cover team. The Knicks, not a great season, but we're just talking this game. And if they can cover that 7-point spread, despite all the drama that seems to surround them and Spike Lee and all of that noise. Craig, who do you like in this one?
Yeah, the Thunder have been a great cover team, but not as good recently. But I do think, you want to cure what ails you, you go play the Knicks. It doesn't matter, play them at home, play on the road, doesn't really matter. It's kind of funny that the Knicks, the game that their best win of the season, beat the Rockets at home, and that can't even be the headline. It has to be about the Spike Lee issue. So to me, I just think the Knicks are just a dumpster fire. Let's take lay all the points here with the Thunder -7 on the road. I think they need to get right win, and they do that against a bad Knicks team.
Yeah, I don't know how the Knicks beat the Rockets. I think we live bet that game. We're like, oh, there's no way that the Rockets keep losing, but doubled down and lost. Tony T, circling back to this Thunder Knicks game, who do you like?
Yeah, I'm going to take the Knicks +7. When the Knicks out-rebounded the Rockets by over 30, there's the reason. You give a bad team too many possessions. But one thing to note here in this game, we talked about the Midwest teams late in the year playing these 1-game homestands. That's what's happened to the Thunder. Their past 2 homestands have been 1 game. Again, they feel like road games. So this will feel like their 7th road game in a row because they'll be playing their 7th game in 7 different cities. And it's hard for Oklahoma City to play at their best. New York has covered 3 straight as their offense has shown improvement. Look in their past 5 games, hitting 50%, 36% from 3. They do have a winning spread record at home, these Knicks. Everybody, and they played a little better with the coaching change. But one thing to note here, with all this travel for OKC, is they're not playing very good defense, allowing 48% shooting, 39% from 3. That is definitely showing some signs of fatigue, being on the road too much, especially with these 1-game homestands, which are terrible for these Midwest teams this time of the year. I'm going to take the points here with the Knicks.
All right, that wraps up NBA Rapid Fire.